This week, we've seen ritualistic investigations, familial fractures, and the battle for tribal supremacy. Let's dive right into what's on the pull list. It's a pretty light week here due to the holiday, but we're going to kick things off with Absolute Superman number 14, written by Jason Aaron with artwork by Rafa Sandoval. So the battle for Smallville really comes to an end here with Kal-El finally taking on Ra's al Ghul properly, going head to head, and it works out so freaking epically, man. This was a great issue. This feels like what we've been building towards since issue number one. And the battle is cool, but more importantly, it's also well earned. More than the battle itself, though, I feel like it's really developing into Kal-El's vision of hope, right? That's what I feel like this is like all been kind of like coming towards here is that Kal-El started as this timid teenager, and now he's really fully developed into what we kind of start to see as the first inklings of the Superman that we kind of know and love. He didn't just start that way, he becomes that for the residents of Smallville, and we see that with their uprising as well. This was a fantastic issue. I really love what Rafa Sandoval brought to the table here, but more than that, it was Jason Aaron's narrative here. It's been a slow burn, but it's been building towards something epic. This is that epic thing that we've been building towards here, and it ends on such a heartbreaking note too as well. Absolute Superman was absolutely fantastic. Sticking around in that same universe, let's talk about Absolute Wonder Woman number 15, written by Kelly Thompson with artwork by Hayden Sherman. So, Diana is investigating what appears to be a ritualistic sacrifice to Hecate, right? The god that she knows and adores. But she's no detective, right? So she has to call in some help from a certain someone in Gotham City, and you know exactly who that is. So, first things first, this is really, really fun. We've all been waiting for that absolute iteration of these characters to cross paths with one another. And I gotta say, for me personally, it was well worth the wait. Thompson's charm really continues to ring through in this book, even through the doom and gloom of Bruce being thrown into the mix, right? He's not necessarily known for, like, having that warm smile or anything like that, right? He's a totally different type of character than Diana. We get the first inklings too of more crossovers in the future that are going to be coming down the pipeline here, and we know that now Bruce and Diana have both heard of a certain someone who happens to be from Smallville. So this is going to be continuing in the pages of Absolute Batman here, but I have to say the first part of this crossover and the first interactions between Diana and Bruce really set the stage for something awesome. I really enjoyed this issue here. Absolute Wonder Woman definitely killed it. All right, let's see if we can power up with some of that Omega energy with DCKO The Joker versus Red Hood number 1, written by Scott Snyder and Joshua Williamson with artwork by Dustin Nguyen. So the title of this book really says it all, right? And that's the same with all these DCKO tie-ins, right? That's exactly what we're getting here. It's the Joker versus Jason Todd. This is the rematch that some people have been kind of like, seeking. They wanted to see this happen here. It's Jason Todd taking on the man who killed him, and it was okay. It was just fine. It's a battle that is so obvious on paper that if it didn't happen, people were going to be like, oh, well, I can't believe they didn't do that. It was right there for you. We have to see them fight. And I have to say, like, if they didn't do it, people were going to say that, sure. But I'm so incredibly bored with the idea of Jason Todd being defined strictly by his trauma. It's a boring idea. It's tired. I'm definitely through with it. I'm ready to move on to some kind of other idea, right? All in all, this was a nostalgia type of issue. If you wanted to kind of like be reminded of those events that happened in the past, then this was going to work for you. But it didn't necessarily elevate what happened in the past, and it didn't elevate anything that's happening right here and right now within the event. So, can I say that this was essential? No. It was fun, but like it didn't actually do anything more than that for me. Next up, we have No Man's Land number 4, written and drawn by Simon Kudransky. So this is the end game, right? This is the culmination of this series here that Kudransky's put out here, and I have to say, it was worth it. So all the players are on the board now, and all the mysteries have been revealed, and we're kind of at a standoff now between the KGB, the FBI agent, the person that they're investigating, and it's all kind of like culminating in what could potentially ignite a nuclear war. I really enjoyed how grounded this series and this issue have remained. It dabbles in the supernatural and it kind of toys with the ideas of ancient rituals, but it always keeps its feet firmly planted. I think that's what makes this series work so well. This issue really speaks towards morality and conscience in the crosshairs of a world-ending threat, and it's really Agent Collins and like what he is willing to do to sacrifice, or what he's willing to sacrifice, right, to maintain that status quo of the world in that Cold War era. Really great character piece, really great end cap to this series here, and I think that it was a really good way to showcase, I guess, what a character needs to do to kind of stay morally true to who he is, even in the face of world-ending threats. Really great stuff here. I definitely recommend that you check this out. This was the end cap. Trade paperback will be coming out soon here, so if you haven't read this, make sure to check it out. All right, let's talk The Rocketfellers, number 11, written by Peter Tomasi with artwork by Francis Manipul. So this is the family kind of like, still kind of running from their pursuer who finally comes head to head with them as the future and the present meet head on. And for those of you who have been following along, you know that I had dropped this series early on. It was just too much of a slow burn for me. And it's not because it was poorly made, it just, I didn't have room on the pull list, right? And sometimes hard decisions need to get made, and this was one of those things. This issue does make me reconsider maybe making that decision, though. This issue offers a reveal, the reason behind why the family is on the run and why Roland is so reluctant to go back to the future here. And I think that's what I was looking for in those earlier issues. And I can appreciate a slow burn, but I feel like there's finally a reason, right? There's an engine that's going to be driving the book outside of that one and done kind of scope. The strengths I saw early on are still on full display, though. Absolutely great arc, really excellent character dynamics. But now that part of the puzzle that I was missing, well, now it's here. If this series doesn't fall into the slow burn category again, I think it's going to end up kind of being something that I follow along with here. Time will tell on that one, but what I can say is that Rockefeller's number 11, I'm happy that it was giving me the opportunity to dive back in. All right, let's talk Skinbreaker number 4, written by Robert Kirkman with artwork by David Finch. So, as the elder begs and pleads with that the new ways that he's established to be maintained, his adversary challenges for leadership of the tribe, along with reverting back to the old ways of the strongest kind of being the one that will lead the tribe, and reverting back to what they did previously. And the way the tables appear to be turned here is pretty cool. To ascend a tribe leader, essentially, you need to fight to the death. But what is it that happens if an opponent doesn't actually die? That's kind of what's explored here. One of the strengths of this story here and what Robert Kirkman has done is that it's really allowed David Finch to showcase his artwork, and he's doing so in a really fantastic way. But it's a very surface level kind of book, a very classic feeling kind of story, right? It's very tropey, and it's not anything that we haven't experienced previously. But in that same way, there's like a mythological quality to it, and I really like that, and it really endears to me, right? This is not a challenging read, it's not a difficult read, but it's in the same way that like Star Wars drew on tropes of fantasy things and like, the classic Joseph Campbell storytelling. I feel like this does that in that same way, right? It doesn't need to be new to be exciting and refreshing, and that's what Skinbreaker does for me. So, Skinbreaker, I'm really excited to see every new issue here. While it doesn't bring new to the table, it definitely kind of keeps my excitement level at an all-time high. All right, let's talk Superman number 33, written by Joshua Williamson with artwork by Hayden Sherman. So this isn't necessarily a Superman issue, even though it's Superman proper. This is a DCKO tie-in, and Lex does battle with Etrigan the Demon to harness that Omega energy, while Superboy Prime and Lois race to the Justice League Watchtower with information for the Timekeeper. This was an interesting look right into the psyche of the character that is Lex. Now he just kind of broke bad again, and I like it from that aspect, right? Was it just a tie-in? Yeah. Did it do its best to be more than just that tie-in though? Also, yes. What makes it more than a tie-in though really comes from Hayden Sherman, right? And we know that like they're one of the best in the game right now. And I couldn't believe it when I saw that they were going to be doing the artwork for this tie-in here, but I'm pleasantly surprised by what we got. All the strengths were on full display here. It was a tie-in, sure, but I feel like it did its best to elevate the experience of just, that simple one and done thing, right? Go listen to my thoughts on that Joker versus Red Hood kind of issue, right? This is more than that. This delivered a little bit something different from my experience, and it made it more worthwhile because of it. Next up, we have The Will of Doom number 1, written by Chip Zdarsky with artwork by Kafu. So this is kind of like the epilogue to what we've seen in One World Under Doom. The world is reeling from the end of Doom's reign as a leader, but Valeria has now been bequeathed Latveria and all that it holds. I gotta say, I kind of dug this. I did not like One World Under Doom at all. I feel like it was kind of tired and trite. And but this now kind of opens up a different kind of arena to explore. I think Zdarsky has a great voice for the characters in the FF family, and it deals primarily with them, which is great. The other thing too is I really enjoyed Kafu's artwork. Right, he was the artist on one of the last Iron Man runs that I really enjoyed from Christopher Cantwell. He drew Iron Man on that one, and I've been really excited to see him kind of take on more things. His approach is kind of realistic, but it's not like hyper realized. It never gets to that uncanny valley kind of category. La Roca and Land, I'm kind of looking at you when I think of that. Kafu does something different, and I think it was really cool to see his interpretations of the Fantastic Four family. I gotta say, I Marvel hasn't excited me all that much, but Zdarsky, I've been following him, and while it's not like 100% hit rate with him, he hits more than he misses, and I feel like this is a hit. So, Will of Doom kind of gets me excited for what Zdarsky's going to be bringing to the event landscape for Marvel. And with my runner-up pick of the week, let's talk Absolute Martian Manhunter #7, written by Dennis Camp with artwork by Javier Rodriguez. So on the heels of the White Martians' assaults, John and like everyone around him are dealing with the after effects of the Martians' influence. And that could mean a lot of different things. John and his wife are now separated. He's no longer, in contact with his son, who definitely still kind of harnesses some of that influence over the White Martian. And the world is just kind of reeling all around them. This is a smaller, lighter issue, and that kind of makes it one of my favorite issues of the series thus far because it kind of allows us to recalibrate a little bit. This series can be very challenging in some of the ideas that it's trying to play with and the scope that it's working with as well. So it's nice for this creative team to kind of level set just a little bit and allow a reader like me to kind of catch my breath a little bit and kind of like reconceptualize what it is that's happened and where we're going to be going. While this is a limited series, I feel like this is a good jumping on point. So if you haven't kind of given Absolute Martian Manhunter a chance, just pick up this issue and see if you enjoy what you're being delivered here because it's a slower issue and it's a good jumping on point. It's also impossible to not mention Javier Rodriguez on this. The colors and the way they're used in this book and their level of importance is just like really done in such a great way. And the fact that they're using a limited palette, it just makes it even more mind blowing here. Javier Rodriguez, over the last couple of years, I've really enjoyed their work, and I feel like they just continue to level up through and through and through. And this is another great example of that. Absolute Martian Manhunter really kind of, I don't know, got me excited again to read this book. And with my top comic of the week, let's talk Green Arrow #31, written by Chris Condon with artwork by Montos. So, in this final issue here, a hero inspires a young child in need as we see that the powers that a hero possesses and harnesses rarely defines what makes them super. So, I don't know if this issue was intended to be the end cap or maybe if it was retooled, but it's a really great look at the impact these heroes can have. Sometimes it's, I don't know, equally as powerful having a conversation with a child in need as it is having that world threatening fight with Darkseid. They both can be equally impactful, at least in the eyes of the beholder. And that's what this issue is all about. It's bittersweet as like I want to show this issue to everyone as proof of what a superhero comic can be, and it's important to celebrate that. But equal parts, like I'm in a mourning phase now because this is the last issue that Chris Condon and Montos are going to be able to deliver with this character. But man, I have to say, even though it's the last issue, and even though I really want more, what a way to go out. This was just the perfect end cap for the story that we've gotten. I'm going to, rather than mourn, I'm going to celebrate the time that we've had with this creative team and with this character and what they delivered, because I have to say what they delivered was one of my absolute favorite Green Arrow stories through and through. They had a real voice for this character. They definitely did in this issue, and because of that, it made it absolutely worthy of top comic of the week. So that's what I've got for you this week, but I'm more curious. What did you read and what were your thoughts? Do me a favor, like, share, and subscribe, and be part of the panel. Leave me a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. We'll talk to you next week.